I'm Dr. Deb Butler, and you are listening to Thinner Peace and Menopause and Beyond. This is episode number 322. Welcome to Thinner Peace and Menopause and Beyond. This is Dr. Deb Butler, Master Life and Weight Coach, and as always, your coach. If you're a woman and you're smart and you're successful and you've been struggling with weight your whole life, and now menopause is making it harder than ever, and you are ready to make this the last time you ever have to go on a diet again, then this podcast is for you. Stay tuned. Well, hello, all my dear friends all over the world. It's a beautiful day in paradise here. How about you? Well, we're coming into summer, and I have something special that I want you to hear today. It is an interview I did with one of my former clients in the last group class that I did during the holidays, and I've been saving it. And I want to use it now for two reasons. Number one, I think going into summer is very similar as to going into the holidays. You travel, you want to celebrate, you want to be free. It's all kind of the same thing. So I want you to think about this when you hear about the holidays. I just want you to put in there summer instead, and it's all going to be the same. The other reason that I'm putting this interview with Susan in today is because I am working on something special. And it's kind of a combination of group, individual, and working on your own. And I am in, say, the last 25% of finishing it with my amazing, wonderful son, BJ Butler, who is the COO of my company. And we are busy working on the end of it. So I think it's apropos that you hear this now, because I want you to be really thinking about what I'm cooking up, what I'm creating, and if you want to be a part of it. And since it's going to be more of a group experience than an individual experience, I think Susan's experience is perfect right now. And I want you to be thinking about this in your brain about what it might be like to be in a group experience with me, with other people, and at the same time being able to work on your own too. I just want you to be thinking about that if you've been thinking about wanting to work with me and you would love a group experience and at the same time be able to work on your own, then you're going to love what I'm making. So whatever you're doing today, whatever you're doing right now, I want you to sit back, take a bath. I always say take a bath because that's what I like to do. Take a walk, drive, whatever you're doing, and listen to this amazing interview that I did with Susan and her experience within the group, her experience during the holidays, and how she made this transformation. And I want you to know, I don't pay anybody to come on here. They always feel like it's an honor or a privilege to come on, which I find amazing. They want to share with you because there are other people who have come on and shared, and they want to pay it forward. And I can't tell you, if you've been listening for a while, you probably have heard a lot of interviews, but that's where people come from when they want to come in and talk about their experience. So enjoy this interview with Susan. Put your brain on, become mindful, know where you are right now, pay attention to what you're thinking, and most important, listen. Enjoy. Hi, Susan. Welcome to my podcast.
Hello, Dr. Deb. I'm happy to be here.
And I am happy to have you here. And I know that you have a lot to share with people, which is why I have you on here. Like, I think you have more to share than you probably think you have to share. But I've talked a lot about you in some of my podcasts, just about our group experience and some of the things that happened to you, just because I thought it was such a wonderful thing to share. Because one of the things that I remember about you the most, and we'll talk about this as we go, is how you really learned to feel your feelings instead of eat your feelings. Mm-hmm. So I want to make sure that we touch on that. But before we get to the nitty gritty, can you just tell everybody what inspired you to want to work with me? And where were you with food, your body, before you started working with me?
It stems way back to my teenage years. I mean, I have constantly been off and on a diet and have tried and done, you name it, I probably did it or tried it. And yes, as long as I was, on the plan or whatever it was, I did lose weight, but eventually I gained it all back and then some. I've had such a diet mentality for so many years that, it's taken me a while to realize that, I can eat whatever I want now, within reason. And when I started searching, I actually just Googled, I believe, if I remember right, I just Googled menopause and weight loss, hormones, that type of thing. And you came up. Well, no, actually, I take that back. There was someone else that I was listening to and kind of the same concept, but I did not connect with that person. It just, the information was good, and then I just kept searching and then I found you and I went to your very first podcast and I pretty much I binged listening for, until I got caught up. Very good information. And then, I just found that I couldn't do it on my own.
So you couldn't use the tools that I was teaching on your own?
Right. I mean, I'd start good. And then it's like, okay, I can do this. And Monday would come and I'd start my food journal and everything. And then I'd just fall off, and I wouldn't complete it. Well, then I got to a point where I had put on a few extra pounds more than my normal. And I just was not happy. I did not feel good. So then we had a mini session.
Okay. So let me stop you for a minute. So how old are you, if you don't mind sharing it with everybody?
I'm 56.
Okay. You're 56. And so you're either going through menopause, been through it, but you're somewhere right around it, right?
Yeah, I'm post.
Yes. So you were thinking about menopause and weight and putting them together because you thought maybe menopause was causing a problem with your weight more so than why did you want both of those?
Well, because at that time, this has been it's probably been a year or so ago, I was going through a lot of the hot flashes and, around the middle and was having a hard time losing the weight and everything. So
were you having so what you said is you basically been dieting and losing weight since you were an adolescent. Is that what you said about that? And you're 56 now?
Yes.
So, maybe 40 years of doing this cycling of losing weight, gaining weight, losing weight, gaining weight like that. And then menopause maybe got your attention a little bit more because it wasn't as easy to lose the weight. Was that your experience?
Exactly.
Kind of your tips and tricks weren't working as well.
Right.
Yeah. Just like me. Okay.
Yep.
So you decided to have a mini session with me at the time because you wanted. Because why?
Because I wanted the more accountability.
Okay.
Is what I needed.
Okay. So we had a mini session and what happened?
Well, I was all in and then I had a very hard time spending that, the money on myself.
Okay.
I just couldn't do it. And honestly, there were a few times where I went and it's like, I'm going to do this. I deserve it. I need to do this for me. And I'd get, to the point and it's like, I just couldn't get myself to hit that enter button.
So that was our mini session. So you really wanted to work with me and you really felt I could help you, but you just thought it was too expensive for you to be able to spend that kind of money.
Yep.
And you toyed with it and played with it, but you didn't quite do it. So I want everybody to listen to this because there's a lot of people out there that were in your boat. Okay. So what happened after that? Just because I just want people to know that there are other ways to work sometimes too.
Well, then I just kept listening to your podcasts and then it came up that there was a group session that was going to be opening. And it's like, I'm going to do that. I mean, I had no idea what it was going to cost or anything, but I thought I'm doing that. And so I emailed and got on the list and I had no qualms about it at all. I just did it.
So because this was cheaper, probably half the price of my individual coaching, did that make a difference? Or do you think you were just ready to jump all in no matter what? How did that work for you?
No, I think I was ready to jump in no matter what.
And the group just happened to come up?
Yes. And I figured, I know in the back of my mind, I was probably thinking, yes, it will be cheaper since it's a group session. But the main thing is I was ready.
Mm-hmm. And I just want to, and I want to just say for everybody else that you were the first to sign up. You paid your money and signed up really, really, really fast. And because you kind of sat for a while on all, like how long would you say it was between our mini session and then when you said yes to the group? How long was that? That was probably quite a while, actually.
Oh, it was probably a few months, 4 months. Yeah, at least. If not longer. Yeah. Somewhere in there.
4 or 5 months where you just couldn't quite push the button to spend the money on yourself, but you had the money you could have spent on yourself. Is that right?
I could have.
Yeah, because I think that's interesting too, because a lot of people say, well, I just can't afford it. But I think most of the time they just mean, I don't know if I can afford to spend that kind of money on myself.
On me. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yes. Okay. Yes. So anyway, fast forward, you ended up in a group, which is why we're talking, because people who are interested in a group, you're going to be a good person to listen to today. But I do want to say, because I heard you say that if you had to do it over again, would you go either way? Or
for me personally, I liked the group sessions because a lot of the ladies in my group, when they talked or, told their story, and when you were coaching them, it was me, we're going through the same thing, or, I really connected with some of their stories and the things that they were going through.
Mm-hmm. So you didn't do the individual coaching because you thought it was too expensive. And when the group came up, you just knew you had to work with me.
Yes.
And that's what came up. And when I think about the universe provides, I probably think it just all worked out for you in the way it was supposed to work out.
It did.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so why don't you talk about, so where you were is that you were on a constant diet. You were either gaining or losing weight. And you've been doing that since an adolescent. So for the last 40 years. Mm-hmm. And you decided to work with me because you didn't want to be on a diet anymore. And you also wanted to lose the menopausal weight. Mm-hmm. But you didn't want to have to keep dieting and going through all that over and over again, right? Like you were
the yo-yoing.
Mm-hmm. Yo-yoing. Were you sick of yo-yoing?
Oh, yes. I knew it wasn't healthy for me either.
Yeah.
It's not good for you.
It's not good for you. So you think 40 years of that's 40 years of being entrained in your brain, I want to talk to you about this too, about what it's like, because you are at where you want to weigh right now. Right.
Yes. Yep.
Right. So I want to talk a little bit about that too, for people who are at the weight that they want to be at. You lost the weight and you have lost weight before. Right. And well, first of all, why don't you tell me and everybody listening why this is the last time you will ever have to go on a diet again? Let's just start there.
Because I am at peace now. I am free. I can go out with friends. I can go to a family event, and I don't have to worry about what I'm not going to eat or that I'm not going to overeat. I can sit in front of food and I don't have well, of course, sometimes you have the urge. I mean, that's human, but I can have something in front of me. And if I'm not hungry, I'm not going to eat it because it doesn't serve me well then.
And we just want to say that that's not the way you used to think.
Oh, no. I would sometimes, depending on, where I was at mentally, and I would dread going somewhere because it's like, I knew I would overeat and feel miserable. And a lot of it too was, socializing, feeling that you have this drink or that drink and then eat and keep eating. And it's like, why aren't you eating? And things like that.
Mm-hmm. So there was social pressure too.
Oh,
so
yes.
You felt like there was social pressure. So going out was hard for you because you were thinking what other people might be expecting you to do.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So how would you deal with that now? How do you think about that now?
Right now, I don't care. If I'm not hungry, I just tell them, I said, I'm not hungry, or I don't care to have a drink right now.
Well, aren't you worried about what they're going to think?
No.
Why not?
Because it doesn't matter to them if I eat or drink. It's me. I'm serving myself and I'm the one that matters.
Wow. I want everybody to hear that, because when you say I'm the one that matters, did you used to think like that?
No, because I would think that to be a part of the group or whatever is going on, that I had to have the drink right along with them, but you don't have to. You can still enjoy the conversation and the people you're around without having that drink with them or munching on the chips all night or whatever it is.
Wow. I mean, it's such a big thing because it's not really about what diet you're on or what, it's just that you just don't want to engage. Like you're aware now of what's going on and you're just choosing not to do it. You're not feeling deprived or restricted.
Right.
Like you want to do it, but you can't.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And would you say it used to be a little bit more the other way where you might have felt more deprived or restricted if you were on some kind of diet that...
Definitely. Yes. Because if you're on that certain diet, you can't have the carbs or whatever, you just want them all the more.
Yeah. And maybe that's what led to so much yo-yo dieting is restriction. And then after being restricted for a while, then you just kind of wanted, at least this was for me, I would restrict, lose my weight, and then I would reward myself by eating everything and anything with no regard to my body and gaining the same weight over again, and then go back on, find some kind of restriction. You too?
In time, yes. I mean, I would be good for a while, maintain.
Oh, yeah. Let's talk about being good. Talk about being good for a while.
Yep. I mean, sometimes it would be months or sometimes it'd be years. And then all of a sudden, I would go back to my old habits. And part of this too, in the beginning, it was hard for me because it was like, oh, I've had a good day. And that meant that I was eating good, right foods. And it took some doing on my part to, let myself be free. And if I wanted to have something unhealthy in my mind, I could have a little of that if I wanted it.
And still be good.
Right. Because I didn't overeat on it.
Yeah. So do you think that you don't have this good, bad thing going on all the time in your head anymore?
No, I mean, still a little. I'm still working on it, but
say something about that.
Better.
Yeah, yes. But say something about that. How are you working on it?
Well, I have the tools now to work on it.
Yeah. So sometimes you find that your brain kind of goes back to that old thinking.
Oh, yes, definitely.
Is that what you mean? Like, oh, this is good. Oh, this is bad. But you can catch yourself because you have the tools and you can bring yourself kind of back.
Bring myself back.
Bring yourself back. Okay. Yep. So let's talk about, I want to talk about one thing in the group. And I did do a podcast on this too, but I do want to talk about it because one of the things that you wrote to me, because everybody fills out like an intake form, one of the things that you wanted was to have this peace and freedom around food that you're talking about, which meant having to feel what was going on instead of eat what was going on. So I just want to bring you back to one of our group sessions where I believe, because this was at the end of the group session, like you came on, like I said, oh, why don't you check in with me? Usually you tell me when you want to be coached. And I don't remember on that if you did or you didn't. So you kind of came in right at the last 5 or 10 minutes. And one of the things that I want everybody to know about you is that you were the first to sign up and you were all in from the minute that you signed up. And what that means from my end is that any homework that I assigned, anything that I asked of my clients, you always sent me everything, right?
Yes, I did.
And as I'm talking about feeling your feelings, if I could just segue a little bit into why did you do, because not everybody in the group was like that. So, and mindset is so important. And I'm just wondering what you were thinking from the beginning when you signed up that led to that kind of behavior. What were you thinking? I think it's important for people to know that.
Well, I knew that doing the work would get me what I wanted.
Okay, so you believed that if you did the work that I told you to do, I think I probably told you that if you do what I tell you to do, you'll get what you want.
Probably. And the other part is just that I felt accountable to do this because, I'm in the group session and it's just part of the work. Okay,
so but I want people to hear about this because just because people hire me, just because people spend a lot of money on me, does not necessarily mean all the time that they do the work that I tell them to do.
Right.
And so with you, because you did it, it's like you must have really wanted, and you must have really believed that you could get it.
Yes, I did.
Right. It was that belief, I think, from the beginning that you started working with me. I think you had a belief that if you went all in on yourself and did what I told you to do, you would get what you wanted.
Yes.
And you did, didn't you? And you did. Okay. So I'm going to take you back because this group session was probably towards the end of our, I would say like in the last half.
Yes, it was.
Okay. And just so people know this about you, you've been sending me your food journals, and your food journals in particular were pretty clean in terms of you were eating between the twos most of the time, had very little fog eating. You just didn't have a lot of it going on.
Right.
You did do coaching on some of it, but you just didn't have a lot of it as time goes on. Some people do and some people don't. It doesn't mean you're off or you're on if you do or you don't. You just didn't. Right. So on this particular group session, I pulled up your food journals and I noticed immediately, I said, "Ooh, what's going on with you?" And you immediately wanted to take me to a specific entry. Like you knew exactly where you wanted to go. And I just want people to know how important food journals are, that I could care less what you were eating. And I don't even know if you cared what you were eating. You just know that what you were eating wasn't fuel. You weren't hungry and you were fogging and you knew something was going on and you just didn't know what.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
So we went to it.
Yes, we did.
Yes, we did. And I just want everybody, because you're still here standing, talking, laughing, smiling at me, and even wanting to do a podcast after going through this experience with me. Right. So I just want everybody to see it's a good thing. But so we just started talking and you were kind of telling me a little bit. And I just went ahead and then asked you, well, what's going on? What's been going on? And you went through a few things before you got to the point that your youngest son was leaving home.
Yep.
And as soon as you said that, I asked you, how do you feel about that?
Yep.
And the first thing you said is, well, I'm very happy for him. And I said, well, you don't look happy because you weren't looking happy. Like I could just see it in your face.
Yep.
And within minutes, you were crying.
Yes.
Do you want to say it? Do you remember that?
Oh, I remember it quite well.
Do you want to say just a little bit about that experience so that people wouldn't be afraid of it? Or, like when something like that pops up and you're not expecting it.
After it was all said and done and you talked me through it, I felt so much better. And that's what I should have done that Thursday night when I was just fog eating, and I should have just felt my sadness and had a good cry about it rather than eating my feelings. And that's what I was doing. I was trying to cover up, mask my sadness. I mean, yes, I was happy for him, but I was sad
talk
that he
about masking the sadness, because you wanted to be happy for him.
Yes.
But that's not the feeling you had in your body.
No.
And that's what I'm talking to people. It's like intellectually, we can tell ourselves all kinds of things. But our bodies do not lie. And I know I could see it in your face. I could see you feeling what you were feeling with saying, I'm happy. And I think this happens to a lot of people, so I think it's so important. And like, it's okay if you don't feel the way you think you should feel. Don't you think? I mean, it's like,
oh yeah.
And I think once you went through that, because I actually helped you process that sadness, like we just really went through the emotion. We felt it in your body and we just went through it together.
Yes.
Right. And in the end, it was just like, I just said, when I leave you, I just want you to sit with this for a while, not just run away, like, okay, that's over.
Right.
But just feel
it. I did.
And you didn't. Yeah.
I did.
And I remember you either writing or something later and just saying like, and what you just said just now is that all I really had to do was feel what I was feeling. And I think it was, I don't know what you were eating, M&Ms or no. I don't remember what it was.
Probably ate some of the hot tamales too.
Right. There was like a myriad of different types of foods there. And so many people are so into what they're eating and not eating, good and bad. Like, I just shouldn't do that. And I'm just going to start tomorrow. If you would have been like you were in the olden days, you would have just pushed that under the carpet, told yourself you did bad, and start again whenever you could, and just forget about it and just say, I just can't control myself all the time. And there's something wrong with me. But because you actually felt it, what was that experience like the next day?
Then the next day, just right back to where I was. I forgave. Well, I was kind to myself. I forgave myself. And it's like, that's, you ate that. It's in the past. Just move on.
And not only that, and it's almost like, you have great compassion I had such great compassion for you because
I didn't beat myself up about it like I would have been in the past.
And you brought it up to me to explore it. You were curious about it. You weren't mad about it. You were curious.
Right.
That's the only reason I could coach you, because you go, I want to bring you to this journal and I want to talk to you about it. And really what you wanted to talk about more is like why you ate what you ate. Right. Of course. But really it was just that if I can't feel what I'm feeling, I'm going to have to eat it.
That's what I would do in the past. Yes.
Right. And would you say that's one of the reasons why this is the last time that you will ever have to go on a diet again, is because you have this tool now?
Definitely.
It's like a superpower, isn't it, when you can feel it?
Oh, yes.
It doesn't feel good all the time either, does it?
No, and it's still not easy, but you get through it.
You do get through it.
Yes.
But not only that, when you say it's not easy, I think going through 40 years of going through being good and being bad, going up and down and dieting, thinking there's something wrong with you all the time is worse.
Oh, yes.
Is really not easy compared to learning how to feel your feelings once and for all.
And I've never had a lot of weight to lose,
Yeah, say something about that.
The whole time. It's just that I did not feel good and I was not happy with myself. And I just didn't feel good when I would, start gaining weight.
But even though you didn't feel good, it didn't stop you.
Until I got to a certain point and it's like, enough. And then I would find that next diet, whatever I did.
Yeah. And I think there's a lot of people on here who, would you have 10 pounds or what was the amount of weight?
10-ish, yeah.
10-ish pounds. Yeah. 10 pounds up and down. There's a lot of people listening to this with 10 pounds, 20 pounds. I was kind of in the 20 to 30 pound thing where I would just go up and down, like, I don't know how many times in my life, as if it was normal. Like it was to me, what was normal was either gaining weight or losing weight. That's what seemed normal to me. Okay. So now we get to, you've said this is the last time. And what I want to know is what's it like now you weigh what you want to weigh. What's it like for you being at the weight that you want to be at and needing to use these tools? I mean, it's like, it's not over.
Oh, no, it's not.
But what's it like when you don't have any weight to lose?
I just feel free.
And would you say that you were feeling free even as you were losing the weight?
Oh, definitely. That first month, it was just like my body was like, it's hard to explain. It's just like my body was thanking me for listening to it finally and not overeating all the time because the weight came off. Yes, I was happy that I was losing weight, but that wasn't the only thing. I mean, there's so many other things that you're going through and learning and using not only for weight loss, but just for a lot of different aspects of life, a lot of the tools that I learned.
Right. So it's about the weight, but it's not about the weight. I mean, just even the thing that we're talking about the emotions, it's like, it's about the weight because you ate when you weren't hungry.
Right.
And it's not about the weight because it's all about feeling a feeling that you're afraid to feel. Oh my gosh. I remember another thing about you too. And if you want me to edit this out, I will. I just thought about it though. Okay. It was about your husband.
Okay.
Want to talk about it a little bit?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So let's see if I can remember. Do you remember it?
I believe so. About the wine?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Do you want to talk about it a little bit?
If I
because you wanted to be coached on this.
Because that's the one where I had a little too much wine because I was mad at him about, it was one of the holidays because we did the coaching through the holidays.
That's right. Everybody here coaching through the holidays is a good thing. Yes.
Oh, it was awesome. I learned a lot doing it through the holidays. But the one thing is that if I remember right, we were disagreeing on what side of the family to go to or something.
You were mad at him. No, I remember. You were mad at him because he didn't want to be with your family as much.
Yes, that's what it was.
And you thought he should want to be with them more than he wanted to be with them. Okay. Yep. And while that discussion was going on, you overdrank.
Yeah.
And so you brought me to that moment because you wanted to understand, like you knew you had fog, because there's no problem with alcohol any more than any joy drink. It's just got to be a mindful experience. And this was definitely not a mindful experience. Right. And you were just mad at him. So can you talk us through that? Like, what did you learn from that?
I learned
you can remember because it just popped up in my head.
I remember you telling me that, it's okay that he feels the way he feels. And, just because he didn't want to be with my family, spend more time with my family did not mean that I had to be mad at him.
And also, now that I remember, because we were working on the model at the time too.
Yes,
it's the thought that you had about him that you made it mean something about, you took it personally.
Yes, you're right. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. And so we did a lot of work on, because you guys have been married for like 30 years or something like that, which I asked you, it's like, are you planning?
35. Mm-hmm.
How many?
35.
Yeah, 35. And I think you were planning on staying married to him, because I like to ask that question.
Yes.
And you know him very well. So, like overall, you're going, no, he's really wonderful to me. And so it's like, well, what if he just doesn't want to be with your family as much as you want him to be? Like, what else could you think about it other than he's not doing what I want, or he doesn't care about me? I think it was something like that. Like he wasn't considering you. He wasn't being considerate.
Right.
Something, these family issues, when it comes to families, about you took it personally.
Yes, I did.
Mm-hmm. And when you felt that anger, drinking seemed like a way to kind of cover it up. Mm-hmm. And then in the end, what you learned from it, I think, was that he can be, as if we're letting people be who they are, as if we're being nice to them and letting them be who they are, which is they're going to be who they are and you can let them or not. Mm-hmm. But could you just let him not want to be with your family as much? Right. Could you be okay with him being that way without thinking there's something going on with you?
Right. That was a very learning experience for me, because I've used that. There's been a few other times since then.
Yeah. I mean, the people we're closest to, we can learn the most, are our biggest teachers, because they bring up our thoughts that create our emotions. Mm-hmm. And we always want to change them. Like we think he should want to be with your family more, when really, in reality, you just have to think different about him not wanting to be with your family.
Right. Yep, exactly.
Which I think was what that was all about. Mm-hmm. And you brought me right to it. I just want people to see you fogged your way through alcohol. It's not like you enjoyed the alcohol or you enjoyed the wine, but because you were willing to look at it, which is everything we do in coaching, you actually learned some really big things about you, your relationship with your husband, and your relationship with food.
Yes.
And I just want people to see that, because it's like, when people get on here, they always say, oh, this is life-changing. But you are actually showing people why it's life-changing. Because we're seeing it through your relationships. Okay. So share with us. So we know where you were. Where are you now in this whole experience with your body, with food? Where do you live now?
I live in peace. I do still, like I was telling you before we came on here, I have a friend who's going through some health issues. And there were a few times this week where I'd catch myself wanting to go eat something because I was feeling sad. And because I know what I know now, I would stop myself and just, feel the sadness.
And it is sad. What you're saying to me is where you live now is you can live inside your body and live with your emotions, even emotions that hurt.
Right.
You can feel them so you don't have to eat them.
Feel them so I don't have to eat them.
That's a wonderful place to be.
Yes, it is.
So you're at peace and you can feel your feelings and you're at the weight that you want to be.
Yes.
And your relationships might be a bit better.
Yeah, they are.
Especially the best relationship I think you have that's improved is with yourself.
Yes, very much so.
Amazing. I loved working with you because I don't know if people can see the commitment level of you, of how focused and how much you wanted this for yourself. And the other thing that I want to talk about before I end is that you still have moments where you still fog or have slip ups where you eat.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I've had a couple the whole time we were working together, I never had a storm eat.
Yep.
And I've had a couple since then. And I stopped. I caught myself and I came back and I looked at it. I got curious and I looked at it and I moved on. Whereas, the old me probably would have kept storming for days. It's hard to say. Every time I just come right back.
And that's what I want to say to people. It's not like you never do it again. It's not like we end this program or you lose the weight and then nothing ever happens like this again.
Right.
I want people to see that it still happens. And it doesn't mean that anything has gone wrong and there's nothing wrong with you.
Yep. You just continue working at it. Mm-hmm.
And you do the most special tool that I teach, which is you come back.
Yeah. And you be very, very kind to yourself, as you always say, because that is so true. Because in the past, when I would storm eat or I would wake up during the night and I would just beat myself up because I knew that I ate all this bad food and I would go through that. I went through that a lot.
Yeah, me too. Probably for 40 years.
Mm-hmm. Whereas now I just move on.
But you don't move on without becoming curious and asking yourself, sweetheart, what's going on?
Exactly. Yes, that's what I mean. You look at it and you think about it and you have a good talk with yourself and move on.
Your best friend, you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You treat yourself like you like yourself.
Right.
Uh-huh. Okay. So one last question.
Mm-hmm.
What would you say to somebody who's just like you before, who's listening to this? What would you say to them about working with me? They're on the fence. They're not sure, all the stuff you went through. What would you say?
Yes. If you have a chance to ever work with Dr. Deb, to do it, because it will change your life for the better. Mm-hmm.
And
it changed mine. I know that.
It changed your life.
It changed my life, and I will never go back to before Dr. Deb.
Susan, I loved every minute of working with you.
No, I really enjoyed it with you too, and the group that I was with. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we didn't talk that much about the group experience, but I think people get the idea that, for you, you can see just by listening is that you still had individual coaching. Like you still got coached by me.
Yes, I did.
But also you got to hear other women being coached about things you might not even be thinking about.
Right.
And yet you see yourself in other women without being coached.
Definitely. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, sweetheart. Well, thank you so much for being on my podcast. And
thank you for having me.
And I loved every minute of it.
Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
If you're loving my podcast and you would like some more information to be able to follow along with, then please go to drdebbutler.com/change and you can get a free copy of my companion book that goes with this podcast that I refer to in many different episodes. That is drdebbutler.com/change. CHANGE.